Welcome back to Never in Reverse podcast, always moving forward. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host Doug Cox. Today, we're going to go from chaos to a lifestyle of learning how to take chaotic moments of life, honoring the space and just sitting in a comfort zone that allows you to truly see things with a clean perspective, whether that's business, family life, friends.
Looking for ways to work through those moments of crisis and impact, get through things, get through the mud, less friction, more ease, help mitigate these peaks and valleys of crisis that we all face in our organizations.
There's cycles of life. There's different seasons every year. There's different sections in 5-year period. Distinguishing the cycle from crisis, I think, is an important thing in leadership and how leaders can respond to breakdowns without escalating into a crisis. And I think you do that when you know who you really are as an organization and you're just cool with it.
Because if there's inconsistencies in that, then you're going to create fragmentation, you're going to create disconnect, and then people are going to feel like, wait a minute, what picture are we trying to paint here?
Like, hey, this is hard, but if we keep being consistent, we also understand that the other side is great. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Never in Reverse podcast, always moving forward. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host, the man, Doug Cox. Doug, what's going on, buddy?
Not much, man. Another day in the life, living the dream.
Episode 5-1, dude. Man, I can't believe it.
51.
After your birthday.
Oh, yeah, huh? Yeah,
Dude,
it's
how are you,
just
man?
a number, and I'm not 50. Still early 40s.
It's going fast, man.
It is. It
About
is.
as fast as my hair turning gray. Real quick.
Mine falling out. Yeah.
Dude, I have to trim this thing like my beard, dude. Otherwise, it's just like a fluff of gray. I'm like, just go all gray. If we're gonna do it,
Today's episode
like,
brought to you by Hair Club for Men.
Yeah, Hair Club for Men. If you guys are struggling with gray hair, I'm here with you. Well, let's dive into today's episode, guys. It's going to be around breakdowns, and every breakdown in your career life is not a crisis, right? Like we'll reflect on stuff that I think I've experienced, and maybe you, Doug, yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, of course.
I think there's a lot of ups and downs. Especially as an entrepreneur and as a salesperson, anyone that's directly tied to success. The dips are big and they're like, it's just like
Peaks
this.
and valleys.
I've told you this, and I try to get in this spot where they're like, and that's probably why the gratitude, having that process for me is like, I try to sit in that nice.
Well, those waves the troughs aren't as large. It's like, where can you just get this in a more harmonious ride, right?
Yeah. And normalizing that cycle of what will always come, whatever comes up must come down. I always use the analogy, like when you're building an organization or a team, you're going up a flight of stairs. If you skipped a step, the next step down is going to be further because there's no firm foundation to drop back down and feel, supported. So I think it's important like that. But normalizing these leadership cycles and the ebbs and flows of business, why do you think we immediately label hard as a crisis? And I don't necessarily know if we do that. I try not to, but I know there's a lot of emotion that sometimes pops up, which is on me. That's my work. If I feel that doesn't mean everyone else has to feel that. And I think sometimes, Doug, when you project stuff onto people based off of your inner sides, maybe your fear, things that are holding you back. I mean, I think that's what can happen because I've seen that. Like, oh, we're selling a lot, so I'm the guy. The ego turns on. Look at me on the hill, and then the quiet guy that's in the corner that was once leading on the hill is now down in the corner, stuffed in there, like hiding because it's not as good as it once was. And I think that you got to find the performance and where you're heading. You're going to have ups and downs. You're going to have these dips and these valleys and these peaks. And I think if you can just find that consistent view and how to sit in the foundation of just, where you're going, and it's okay to have both sides of that. And being comfortable with success and also being comfortable with, I wouldn't say failure, I would just say learning. Because when you fail, you've tried something new and you're going to learn. But instead of being catastrophic and like, I've been in those situations where it's like, oh my gosh, the world's coming to an end because one thing happened. But the week before, he thought he's on top of the world because
All-time
something
high.
good happened. Have you seen that before? Yeah. Have you ever been in those situations?
Yep. But you find the guy that's the most level and consistent, puts in the time and energy consistently each day. You watch those waves and those frequencies in their world, they're not as drastic. Right? And there's not crisis moments, and there isn't just the world's falling apart, it's coming apart at the seams, and then you got that guy or that gal over there that is just every day, consistent. And then you compound that and you look at it at the end of the year versus this guy or this person. And that results of that person were probably greater than the person king of the hill to the bottom of the trough.
And peaceful.
Oh
Because the
yeah.
guy that's up here and down here, or the leader, or what, I would say it's just not being comfortable with both sides of that. I
Mm-hmm.
used to be that way, to be honest. I used to be early on, it was highs and lows, and I was internally not mature enough to handle the drastic shift. And now I'm like, I'm sure you've seen it when if you make a mistake, or you don't see me go, I'm not in your grill. Like, I'm just going, he's going to figure it out on his
Yeah, and
own
how do you
terms.
learn from those experiences, and how do you level those things out, and to where you don't, repeat that mistake, that way that it lives in the back of your mind.
The inner working of that, I wouldn't say manic, but just that ultra sensitive to both sides actually, it could be exhausting for that person, number one, because they don't know how to live in this true comfort of growth. Because growth is going to go like this the whole way, and it's going to get flat, and then it's going to go down, and then it's going to go.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
we did
will.
it. When you first started here, I said, "Hey, man, we're taking I've pulled back." Most people are like, "Huh? What?"
Well, there was a learning time. There was some internal applications that we were trying to
Yeah.
grow and automate, and we needed user feedback, to fill in these cracks and these chinks, so when success came about, that there wasn't this overwhelming weight and friction and disappointment and frustration, that we had the foundational pieces that could support us as we continued to have success and have growth. Again, taking out the dips and the waves, and sometimes it's getting your foundation set where these are less drastic.
And you gotta be
But
comfortable with that too, like, hey, I mean, some people when they see, like, if I was to say, "Hey, we're not really pushing right now in the growth area, the revenue growth," like, where everyone else is. I always tell you guys, like, if we're not growing on the outside, we're 2Xing on the inside. Like, we will literally are gonna push in here
Mhm.
and figure out our systems to make sure that the outside revenue, when that comes back online, it's easier and better, but I think that's kind of where we're at now, is, like, we're in this harmonious frequency in the middle, and I think we high five and I don't feel like we're going really high and sitting, and really low and
No,
poor me. I
no.
think we just gotta sit right in this. We'll go up a little bit and we'll go down a little bit, and I think you can celebrate and you can be like, "Man, that was a bummer," but it's not gloom and doom. Like, you're not gonna
But we've
go.
got a balance. We're getting a more of a balance with our internal processes,
Mhm.
with our growth and strategy and opportunity, that are, they're more holistic. They're on a same, they're in a trajectory path and alignment, right? Versus you can get in these elements where you have these internal processes that you need to put time and attention to, but yet let's just keep that revenue wheel cranking, and then what's the end result when you get it? What's the impact? Largely, it's customers, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's customer experience. So guess what? The back end of that, and that customer goes, you know what? These guys don't communicate well. They don't, that
They don't even know what they're
fulfillment
doing. Yeah, they
fulfillment
don't.
misses. They don't know where they're at, but and then next thing you know, they're now you're going to have this retention, and you're going to have this churn where you're going to be losing more customers on the back end than you're gaining, and then on the back end it's going to fall off, where now all that growth that you had, it's not sustainable.
Yeah, and I think triggering unnecessary panic, I've had a couple moments in my life I can look back on where I did that, where maybe something hit me deeply that put me in a out of control fear tactic, or whatever happened, something that I was trying to protect, and that and then the panic can create a disarray of confusion for people, and I think that it can actually hurt your team, and then they're going, "Are we
Well, they're
stable? Is
gonna
this
feel
place
it.
safe? Is this a safe
Yeah.
place to work at?" Meaning, are they financially stable? Are they, is this gonna happen again? Like, I don't know they're not being open, whatever's happening. So, I think that when, the breakdown turns into
Transparency.
when does normal breakdown turn into damaging overreaction? I think it's when you're out of sequence of where you're going. I think that you can't sit in it. Like, you can't sit in the discomfort of whatever's happening. I think that just a gentleman told me once, "Just sit on it for 24 hours." And I'm like, "Huh." He goes, "If I sleep on it one night, don't go do something instant, no knee-jerk reactions,
Let your
24 hours.
emotions cool.
Wake up the next day, and then you're gonna look at it with not the burden of the day or anything that's coming at you that moment, but just So you have a good train of thought. You're not going to say something you regret. You're not going to do something you regret. Those impulsive exits and pivots and restructures. And, I'm seeing that right now in an organization here that I know, and they're confusing me. I'm watching their panic and their pivots, and their pivot, what they originated as and what they are now is 180 degrees. And I'm like, bro, you marketed this entirely and it is completely opposite. And what I'm sensing in there is they're not comfortable with getting through the hard revenue challenges. And I'm not saying don't pivot. Don't take that wrong, but it's 180. I
There's
mean,
disconnect. There's
it's
disconnect
not even
between.
close to it's polar opposites of what they
Mhm.
launched as and what they are, which is, I get that. Sometimes people, you got to make market shifts. And I'm not saying don't make a shift for something that's not driving revenue, because that's also a bad idea.
This one just
But
looks a little overly aggressive. I mean,
yeah,
it's, but
I
I
think
mean,
just
maybe they recognize something. Maybe it's like, we got to steer the ship this direction and we got to pivot fast. Maybe. Don't
yeah.
know.
Have you ever been in a spot, Doug, where it's like, this chaotic moment or instability or the lack of connection to a problem? Like it could be also go backwards, like instead of that knee-jerk reaction, that's also
Mhm.
nothing. And it almost buckles that person, right? Like there's two extremes and it's both sides of it. It's like, have you ever been in there where you see like
I
disconnection
have,
with teams?
and the hard part is when you have people of leadership cohesively have to be on the same wavelength.
Mhm.
And when you have leadership, may it be across different departments and different ideas and different strategies, and there isn't this collectiveness and everybody buying in to share the message from the top down and the strategy, then you get influence from over here, you get influence from over here, and influence from over
Mhm.
there. And guess what happens? Now you're creating chaos and confusion amongst the organization of what are we really doing here?
Yep.
I'm getting this message here, I'm getting this message here, and we're not getting there. So in leadership, I think there has to be buy-in. There has to be a cohesive alignment in message amongst everybody. Because if there's inconsistencies in that, then you're going to create fragmentation, you're going to create disconnect, and then people are going to feel like, wait a minute, what picture are we trying to paint here?
Yeah.
And
And I
I've
think,
seen I've been a part of those a handful of times, you know.
I think you're right. And I think just the cycles of business and careers and where people head, I think there's always these cycles of life. There's cycles of life. There's different seasons every year. There's different sections in 5-year periods. There's seasons in your current position. And distinguishing the cycle from crisis, I think, is the important thing in leadership, and how leaders can respond to breakdowns without escalating into a crisis. And I think you do that when you know who you really are as an organization and you're just cool with it. Like, hey, this is hard, but if we keep being consistent, we also understand that the other side is great. COVID hit. We leaned in, we grew. Everyone else was like, oh my gosh, we were laughing, dude, because we had already projected the future for how we were going to maintain this organization. And we were already in the space that everyone else was screaming to get to. And I was laughing. I'm like, there are people around you trying to figure out what Zoom is. And I'm like, huh? Like, I think that was a crisis. And that was the moment where the leadership was either complacent, or they didn't have enough forward thinking, or they didn't really understand that this is just a cycle. There's going to be things that come at us. And what are the top 5 things that we need to correct today to make sure that the team can be supported, and our customers, more importantly, are serviced? But people go flailing all over, new servers. Oh my gosh, we got to get on AWS. And then all these things are happening. And then when that crisis stops, or that moment stops, they look back and there's things fragmented all over the place, or employees have left because it wasn't consistent. There was too much change that didn't make sense, or who knows what. But I think just removing the emotional state, being real with the strategy, installing pause rules, the 24-hour rule before making a decision. Um,
And
I'm
do you
trying to get
have the ability to adapt as an organization? If moments and elements like COVID or economic
yeah.
challenges come in, do you have the ability to adapt? So you gotta have that secret weapon that's kind of there in case this happens. If this happens, we can toggle, we can shift, and we can adapt. And I think
Mhm.
that's what, and being able to turn the noise off. At the end of the day,
Yep.
No matter what, people are going to conduct business. You just got to roll up your sleeves and maybe have a different narrative, maybe have a different tactic, another direction. It's just being able to toggle because let's be honest. I mean, tomorrow, 6 months from now, there could be some economic catastrophe. And are you just going to, oh my gosh, I'm going to throw my hands in the air and I'm going to quit? You're going to go, nope. How do I adapt? How do I shift? Where's my angle? Where's my opportunity? Where can I better support? What's it going to lead me to?
What am I going to come
That
out of
mindset.
this? What am I going to come out of this believing about myself and my team and get in the trenches with them and lead them through it? That's where the goal. I think that's where the gold's at, man. Is getting in there and using your whatever that that golden nugget that you have, and mine is time. I can never get more time, but I can use mine as wisely as I possibly can to an extent where I can stay human. But, when you come out of those tough moments, if you sit in it with them and do it with them and actually show them how to do it with confidence, strategy, and grit and humbleness, and because the
You're
other
going to
side
create
is you're
believers.
just, oh,
You're
you're
going
going
to
to create
create
believers. You're going
buy-in.
to,
You're going to create, yeah, I mean, you're going to have a culture that's harmonious, that
yep.
knowing they can achieve anything that's put in front of them. Yep.
Yeah. So as we wind this down, guys, every moment isn't a crisis. These moments deserve like reflection, honor, like some just sitting in the space, being uncomfortable with what that might see to give true reflection. A couple closing questions that we have for you guys are: what recent setback did you label bigger than it usually actually was? And I've done those. Are you tired or are you truly misaligned? Maybe you're just in the wrong position or wrong part of life. What evidence supports your fear that everything is falling apart? So facts, don't not emotional, not being using your imagination or being emotional. What are the facts that support
Not
that?
noise. Yep.
How would you advise a team member in your exact situation? So put yourself in a calm role. You basically sitting there okay and looking at it from a different perspective. What would stabilizing instead of reacting look like this week? So stabilizing is going into that discomfort and being like, "Hey, listen, this isn't gonna take me over," but like being with it. Like doesn't mean you can't look at it and be part of that, but like instead of jumping on the crisis bandwagon, oh my gosh, it's the sky's
Get
blue
through
over
it,
here.
less friction. Yep.
Just push into it. I tell you guys all the time, push in, guys. Like we can do hard things. I tell my boys that we can do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do hard things, I just say we can do it. We do hard things as a family. We can do the incline steps that's 100, 200 high while some people quit. And my 5-year-old keeps going because we do hard things, right? Like believe in that moment. If there's something that was in this conversation that popped up for you, don't rush past it. Like maybe sit in something that brought something up in you in a moment with a colleague or a friend or whatever, and just maybe not judge it. Maybe just sit in the moment, be like, hey, that's probably inside of me. That's my work.
And share your
Because
stories and your elements and things of,
yeah,
what you guys have gone through, trials, tribulations that have worked for you, tactics, ideas,
books, audiobooks, whatever.
anything, what's helped you, overcome those moments of a challenge.
So before you go, guys, you can follow us on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, X, and then the audio platforms.
Amazon, Apple, Spotify.
Absolutely. Until next time, guys, we appreciate you guys joining us on this journey, and private message us. We're open to feedback, guys. We want to hear from you guys and what like Doug said, what you guys have learned in this life. Till next time, I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host, the man, Doug Cox. See you guys soon. Take care.